Still think it's also easy to hold.
Place amongst the stars since the dawn of humankind. We've looked at the stars with wonder and amazement, their glow guiding our travel for centuries. The more we learn about our universe, the more questions we have.
I'm Emily Calandrelli, and today you'll be following me behind the gates on this exclusive bus tour of Kennedy Space Center. Our journey will take us past active facilities and end at the visitor complex's own Apollo Saturn V center.
Before we begin this journey, just like every NASA mission, our number one goal is to return home safely. So always stay seated while the bus is in motion.
If you take a look to the right of the parking lot of our Badger station, that is a Mercury Redstone rocket. It's the same type of rocket that started our manned space program in 1961. And the video is going to tell you a little more about it.
Please, no food or drinks on the bus with the exception of water. Please keep conversation to a minimum so others may hear and enjoy the tour. No photography is permitted at the security gates, but there will be plenty of photo opportunities during the tour.
This rocket that you'll see standing tall in front of 1958, NASA formally organized Project Mercury with a mission to investigate man's reaction to this new environment and safely recover the capsule and its pilot. Man rating for human spaceflight on what was previously a ballistic missile was no easy task. After several modifications and test flights, a Mercury capsule carrying Ham, a chimpanzee, was successfully launched and recovered on January 31st, 1991. Just months later, then astronaut Alan in space.
Nothing happened.
Hi, I'm Janet Petro, and welcome to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center, where NASA astronauts have ventured forth on flights of exploration since the 1960s. And what an exciting time to visit our multi-user spaceport. Through our Commercial Crew program, we are sending astronauts to the International Space Station from American soil for the first time since the Space Shuttle program ended in 2011. We're continuing to launch new research experiments and supplies to the space station with our commercial resupply services and launching the most technologically advanced scientific instruments to date into space through our Launch Services program. This all culminates in our ultimate mission, the Artemis program, where NASA will return to the moon, this time with the first woman and first person of color, and continue on to Mars. In all our history, there's been one common theme woven throughout our DNA. It's our insatiable desire to explore beyond our home planet in our never-ending quest to expand our knowledge of the universe. As you venture behind the gates, you'll find a community of the most talented, dedicated, motivated workforce anywhere in the world who believe in the unlimited potential of space exploration. This is an active spaceport where new things are happening every day. You never know what you might see, so enjoy your tour.
There's a Starship Factory.
You are now entering the vehicle assembly, or as NASA calls it,
Dad, look.
VAB. It is one of the largest buildings in the world by volume, and is the place where NASA completes the final assembly of its rockets. The sheer scale of this building is hard to grasp, even when you're right next to it.
largest stores in the world.
Construction of the VAB required 65,000 cubic yards of concrete, 45,000 steel beams, 1 million steel bolts, amounting to almost
That color information is
100,000
wrong
tons of steel.
because Starship is taller.
Notice the flag painted on the outside of the VAB? It's the size of
Than
a
Artemis.
21-story building. The blue section alone is the size of an NBA basketball court. Each star is 6 feet across, and each red and white stripe is wide enough for this bus to drive down. And the entire VAB? It's so huge that the Roman Colosseum would fit on the roof with room to spare for a parking. By volume, the VAB can fit 3.5 Empire State Buildings, and it would take 250 billion ping pong balls to fill it.
Okay, that's an unnecessary
It was
fact.
built
That
in
means
the
nope, whatever.
1960s for the Apollo program. Every Saturn V rocket that sent humans to the moon was assembled right here. Every space shuttle mission also assembled within these same halls. After the space shuttle program, a major renovation to the inside of this building began to accommodate NASA's next generation of rockets, the Space Launch System, or SLS. Lockheed Martin has developed a capsule called Orion that will sit atop the SLS rocket. This capsule is designed to facilitate human exploration of the moon and eventually Mars.
Take a look at the 4-story building with the slanted windows as we drive through this area. This is the Launch Control Center, where launch directors and their teams oversee every rocket that lifts off from KSC and give the final go or no-go. I'm inside the LCC with Charlie Blackwell-Thompson, NASA's first female launch director. Now, Charlie, can you tell us a little bit more about what a launch director does?
Absolutely. The launch director's job during the planning phase is to ensure that you have everything in place that you need to safely and successfully launch the Artemis missions. That includes things like your requirements are set, your launch commit criteria are understood, your procedures are ready to go, and your team is trained. The folks that sit in this room on launch day, they have a tough job, and that's to determine if the flight and the ground systems are go or no-go. And I depend on them to make those calls on launch day.
Yeah, makes sense. So I hear that you're going to be the launch director for the inaugural flight of SLS with Artemis 1. Can you tell us a little bit more about the mission of the Artemis program?
Well, the Artemis program, Artemis is actually named for the twin sister of Apollo.
If you look to the left, you'll see some things on display for you. The first is a shuttle emergency vehicle, and then the shuttle crew access arm attached to a white room. And the last is a mock-up of the launch abort system for the Orion. And now you can see you have a great view of the vehicle assembly building. And as we come past the vehicle assembly building, if you could switch your attention over to the right, this may be familiar to you. This is our famous press site, location of a lot of our historic footage. If you look out towards the vehicles over there, you see the American flag. Down next to that is our countdown clock. And if you look out past that, you'll see why our press site is here. Great views of all of our active launch pads. Now the launch pads over here to the right are the Cape Canaveral launch pads. And if you look out the front of the bus, the one closest to the door, that is 39A, currently occupied by SpaceX, where they launched the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy. If you look over my head, you'll see 3 large lightning masts in a row. That is 39B, where we will be going to the moon and Mars. Now, as I make this left-hand turn, if you look out the left side of the bus, you will see that 4-story building with the slanted windows, the LCC, Launch Control Center, the go or no-go. 3, 2, 1, liftoff.
This feels like.
There's 4 fire engines in there.
Oh, there it is.
And now we'll be driving
Everything's on the
over
left.
Crawler Way. Not too long ago, Crawler Transporter number 2 transported the SLS rocket From launch pad 39B into the vehicle assembly building, high bay number 3, which is behind the doors closest to the road we are turning onto. Have some kind of idea of just how big the vehicle assembly building is. Take a look straight down the center of the building, all the way down to ground level. There you will see some man doors. Yep, those are the doors that you and I would use.
And so if you think about all that we did during the Apollo program, how amazing that was, it would seem so appropriate that as we return to the lunar surface, we return to the moon, that we go under the banner of Artemis, the twin sister of Apollo. And while there are similarities in our program, there are also differences. This time our trip to the moon will be on a brand new rocket known as the Space Launch System, or SLS, carrying the crews in the Orion spacecraft.
What is the goal or purpose of sending humans to the moon again?
Well, the moon is a treasure trove of science and discovery, and so much to learn from the moon. We're still learning from what the samples we gathered during the Apollo program. The beauty of what we're doing today is that instead of going for a short trip, we're going to stay.
We're inside the VAB at level 26, 274 feet up. And I can see behind us, right over to the right, the newly added crew access arm attached to this mobile launcher. I want everyone here to meet Cliff Lanham, the mobile launcher project manager. Cliff, can you explain the significance of adding that access arm?
Sure. The crew access arm is one of the last major modifications to the mobile launcher in preparation for SLS and Orion. It basically will be the very last place on Earth that the crew will be before they're in the spacecraft and headed to space. Now, the weight room provides a contamination-free environment up next to the spacecraft, and as you suspect, it's white. It's the white room.
Makes sense. Now, how does the mobile launcher support the SLS rocket?
The mobile launcher provides fuel and power to the SLS and the Orion. It's actually the stacking platform for the rocket. So there's a platform next to this 380-foot tower that the rocket is actually built next to, and then the umbilical arms attached to it to provide that fuel and power.
Wow. And so does the mobile launcher actually go all the way to the launch pad with the rocket?
It does, and the crawler transporter comes in, picks up the mobile launcher with the rocket, transports that entire thing out to the pad in preparation for the launch.
Oh, that is very impressive.
It is, and I hope everyone here today has a great time at Kennedy Space Center. Enjoy all the great exhibits, and come back soon.
NASA is known for dreaming big, and big dreams require big equipment. I'm standing next to the Crawler Transporter, the largest self-powered land vehicle in the world. It was originally built in 1965 for the Apollo program, and has since been updated to accommodate the space shuttle and now NASA's SLS rocket. Weighing in at 6 million pounds and capable of lifting and hauling 18 million pounds, the Crawler is an engineering marvel.
If you take a look to the left, that is Crawler Transporter number 2, the one that recently transported the SLS rocket. Now when they did this, they did live stream the entire event on YouTube. Get your popcorn ready. The last trip was 9 hours. Yep, that's one way. Crawler Transporter number 2, born in Ohio, raised in Florida.
Even without a rocket sitting on top of it. This thing has 2,750 horsepower V16 diesel engines that can carry the Crawler up to a top speed of, wait for it, 1 mile per hour while carrying the rocket. Keep an eye out for the Crawler as we approach this area. And remember, we are visiting a working spaceport, so while the Crawler may not stay in one area for very long, it's bound to be out here somewhere. Now, let me introduce you to my friend John Giles, the Crawler project manager.
I'm standing in front of Crawler Transporter number 2 at the Kennedy Space Center. Crawler Transporter number 2 will be used for the SLS program to take the launch vehicle back and forth to the pad. We will begin by going underneath the launch vehicle on top of the mobile launcher, and then we'll come back to the VAB. We'll slide underneath it again, and we'll pick it up. We'll take it out to the pad, a trip of about 4.2 miles. It'll take us about 7 hours to get there. But during our trip to the launch pad, we'll roll over a specially prepared crawler weight. It consists of anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of special rock. Below that is limestone that's about 4 feet thick and compressed to hold the weight of the crawler and the launcher. And then below that is some hydraulically compacted sand that can support all the weight. And then once we're there, we'll drop it all off. And then a few days later, there'll be a launch. We'll come back, we'll pick the mobile launcher up, and we'll bring it back to the VAB and start the process all over again.
With 50 years and some 3,000 kilometers or 2,000 miles on the clock, NASA expects the crawlers to be in operation for at least another 3 decades. How cool is that? The latest refurbishment is complete and preparation is well underway for the first SLS mission. The crawler will be doing what it was originally designed to do once again, which is moving rockets.
Why some say the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago? Why the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
When President John F. Kennedy made this speech in 1960,
I've heard that speech
he
a
set
million
in motion
times.
an era of discovery that would change humankind forever. 7 years after he spoke these ambitious words, the world watched as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first people to walk on the moon. The achievements of the men and women who worked on the space program in these early decades of NASA helped propel the technology we use every day. NASA and the thriving private space industry at Kennedy Space Center today are the living legacy of their story. As we arrive at the Apollo Saturn V Center to learn more about that historic era, get ready to step back into a time when NASA had everything to prove to a nation focused on one goal: to be the first country to land a person on the moon.
Welcome to the Saturn V Center. There's a lot to see here. You'll enter the facility through the big silver doors under the red arch. Spend as much time as you'd like. When you're ready to leave, exit through the gift shop and board another bus to go back to the visitor center. Now just give me a moment to pull up to the gate and lower the bus